Alright boys, so I thought I'd make this video on my second channel because obviously most of you guys sub to me because you want to see content to improve. Now I know most of everyone that watch these videos are very supportive, and even if you disagree with me, you would still watch the video and at least understand my opinion. And when I make these videos, this is the video that I made, how to stop basically the 45 and 90 minute goal. There was basically a solution to stop 45 and 90 minute goals. Now obviously me being me, I of course say the truth that 45 and 90 minute goals don't exist. And normally I get around minus 200, 300 subs. It's currently at minus 3. I suspect it'll go to like minus 70. So it's not that bad compared to normal. So people ask, why would you make this video if you know it's going to be done negatively? People are going to talk bad about you. And why do you do it if you know it's going to hurt your channel? Well, the thing is, someone's got to tell the truth. No one else is going to do it, so I'll be the one. And I wanted to answer some questions. So, I put these 5 statements up on the screen. And if you haven't seen the video, just go ahead and check it. But I'll explain how to stop it and everything like that. But those are all the 5 statements that you saw on the screen. I'll show you them again. Well, unfortunately, I can't because I've got my videos in the way. That's actually a poor design. I should have maybe thought about that. But basically, all of them are false. Now, I want to go through some of the I suppose you can say the comment section. Just because I think, I think it's good to do this because I think it gives everyone kind of like a round top opinion. I think there's only so much I can type at the end there. I try to type to everyone, but I think after a while it just gets a bit too much. So I go over the ones that I haven't answered. So there's everyone saying that it's true, whatever their opinion, because I said write down in the comment section whether you think it's true or false. Matthew goes, honestly, this game has to be scripted in some sense. You did make a point about the 45-minute goal. It could be careless defending played by an individual, but explain to me how it's a 90-minute plus says I win 2-1 in the corner as well. Okay, you defend it perfectly, cut the pass lane, I wait for the rest of the whistle. This rarely happens. As I mentioned in the video, unless the ball goes out for a corner, the referee would always blow the whistle at 90 minutes. If it's 90 plus 1 and it's 103, the referee will always blow the whistle if it goes out. If it goes out for a corner, normally play gets let on until the ball leaves a corner flag. The video was already like 13 minutes long, 14 minutes long, so I don't want to make it any longer. So I briefly mentioned that, but this is not true. Most of the time, people go very, very attacking towards the end of the game. I agree the referee should blow the whistle at +1, but I think this is a viable system they do have because the system is that they allow you to have the final attack, and that way they don't end the ball until the attack phase is finished. And obviously when you get a corner, your attacking phase isn't finished either. So most of the time I move my goalkeeper for corners, so that resolves the issue anyway. But you said after some deflection it lands at an opponent's player. This is just by chance. It's kind of like walking out on the street and, for example, throwing a penny up a wall, for example, and saying how close will it land to the wall. Sometimes if you look at it, if you close your eyes and you don't know where the wall is and you just start dashing pennies at the wall, sometimes it'll be close, sometimes it'll be far. It's just random, and maybe you notice it more because it happens to you, but I think if it happens in your favor, you don't notice it as much. So that's something to bear in mind. So those you can argue even out, but again, just hold the ball at 85 minutes. If you know your opponent's going to get the ball, just be smart. Don't go in a situation where your opponent has the ball and is playing for a corner. It's that simple. If you're winning at 45, yes, I agree with this one. If you're winning at 45 and 90, just kick the ball out of play, but make sure you kick the ball out of play for a throw-in, not a corner or anything like that. Again, I didn't want to really talk about this too much because I think if I say this and people start doing it, they're going to start blaming me because apparently I didn't tell them correctly, because no one ever listens. I suppose you can say when you watch a video, you kind of pick up a bit of it because obviously I speak a lot as well. But I agree. And filthy goes, it's hard to explain with only a few situations, but in another way, arguing lots of people examples will take hours. That is true. The perception is that feelings are one thing. To prove that they're right or false is nearly impossible. I don't agree with the fact that the referee was at the end of the match only if you're in attacking phase. Yes, this is true. The only exception where the referee won't blow the whistle is, again, if you're on the final attack or the ball's gone out for a corner or a free kick or any form of attacking set piece. If it's a neutral throw-in, and it's not even I've seen throw-ins in your opponent's. So I've seen a ball go out of play, and it'd be your opponent's throw-in in your final third. So imagine your person who has a throw-in is in the attacking final third of the other opponent. I've seen a whistle still blow. So apart from those exceptions, the ball should go out of play. How many times did he end the first half whistle and when I was attacking the last final? Even when my Blades gets the ball shoot inside? No, this is rare. The referee will only blow the whistle if the shot is being taken inside the box, if it's after a prolonged period, let's say it's 90 plus 1 and let's say it's plus 5, then if the ball gets deflected away outside the box, the referee might blow the whistle then. But the referee will not blow the whistle if the ball is in the final third. End of story. Until that attack is finished. If you lose the ball, then the referee will blow the whistle. You're probably not in the attacking third completely, or you went to the attacking third and you went backwards. The key thing is, obviously I could have mentioned in the video, but once you go into the final third, the key thing is to not go backwards all the way. It's like when you have the ball over here, if let's just say, for example, in theory, just imagine, for example, it was 45 and let's say it was plus 101. Let's say I had the ball with this player, if I went back to Renato Sanchez, then the referee will blow the whistle. So as long as you're going forward, the referee won't blow the whistle. But of course, that is very, very complicated to explain in a short video. But that's such a very good point that you do bring it up. But losing is one thing, okay. I agree with this statement. The 90-minute goals that work statistically against weaker teams is, with all due respect, absolutely nonsense. There is... I don't mean to sound offensive when I'm saying this, if you are going to watch this ever filthy loops, but, you know, this is absolute nonsense. I've been playing with 15k teams for a very, very, very long time, but I've never ever seen the game ever be in my favor for using a weaker team, so don't think that, in my opinion. So that is a completely false statement. It will never ever happen and never will happen. It's always on the judge of play. You might think because, you know, you have a weaker team, it happens to you. Now, you say statistically it works against weaker teams. Well, if you want to put it statistically speaking, if you have a bronze player making a pass out the back compared to a gold player, there's a higher chance that pass is going to fail with a bronze player. So statistically, that does make sense. But in the balance of play, in the grand scheme of things, the team makes no difference. It's normally the player's fault. I've already replied to this this one over here. 45 90 minutes longer. What is that BS argument? Then they're not longer than any other minutes. Fact. Well, they are, because, you know, when it's 45 minutes, when it's plus 2, the goal gets, if you score on 45 plus 2, you're recorded as the goal scored at 45 minutes. That's why the goal happens at that time. So it is a fact. The issue is that you can see at the end of each half. Well, the simple thing is you hold the ball, as I mentioned in the video. And this guy, I mean, I'm presuming, see, most of these guys, the way that he's writing, I'm presuming he's probably under the age of 15 years old. So you kind of got to let these go. And, you know, for example, individuals like this, I generally just say, you know what, you just let them go. Because a lot of these players, don't forget, people that watch my videos, most people are adults. You know, my average age group is somewhere, you know, between, I don't know, like I would say 30 to 40, 25 to 40, I would say is my average age group. He probably falls out of that bracket. It's probably like the 15, 14 year olds. And obviously, you know, when you're young, you don't think things correctly, so that's understandable. But yeah, there's a difference between the game being broken. Most people under elite level, I find that even elite players still think the game is scripted, but most players under, like, once you get to I would say like a elite 1 level and top 100-ish, you'll find out that scripting doesn't exist. The game is broken, but scripting doesn't exist. But I understand, you know, most of these guys are lower tier players, so they don't understand because they always lose. And also, so obviously when you lose, you always try to find some sort of excuse. That's kind of natural. Even I will try to do the same thing sometimes as well, naturally, without thinking about it. But yeah, someone you can try what you want. You can first switch anytime you play, slow down, play, passes go wrong. So passes go wrong, I've already mentioned why this exists, because in FIFA 19 pitch notes, they explain towards the end of the game, your players make more mistakes due to stamina, your reactions decrease, your agility and balance decreases. Their goalkeeper saves everything, blocks everything is incorrect. You probably notice it more because you have the ball. If you shoot from a guaranteed angle, your opponent can't save it, so you're just taking a shot from an outside angle, probably nil, mate. When there's 2 goals after being 2 goals down, no, it's not. I agree that the game is frustrating, but this is not. If you completely outplayed someone, you cannot lose 4-0. So in theory, the argument makes sense. The game will want you to lose, but you see top tier. When I use a 15k team, I still smack everyone about when I was using against God squads. I was smacking about top tier players with my 15k team. So that argument is kind of, I would say, not really a factual argument. I understand the frustration. And I can understand the reason why you might say this, but that is not the case. So I agree. Some things like team press allow people to come back into the game, which I disagree with. But that's just the way it is, unfortunately. But as we move down, I agree. Ultimately, comes out of the mistakes. Unofficial momentum swing. I disagree. A position of team suddenly goes into overdrive. Okay, so this is the thing. It's just okay. Think about this in a common sense perspective. You got to think of it like, let's say it's the Champions League final. Okay, you're 1-0. You're 1-0 ahead. It's 87 minutes. Do you think your opponent is gonna sit back and defend? They're not. They're going to go ultra attacking. They're going to trigger more players going forward. They're going to go to attacking formation. So naturally, you have less of the ball and you go into defensive phase, whether that's psychologically speaking or in the numerical in terms of players going forward. But leaving midfield players just static, it's always like that. Your midfield never really man mark. They kind of really veer around your opponent, and that is it. If there's obviously a numerical advantage for your opponent, there's going to be a numerical mismatch, and therefore there's going to be more players free. And if you have no passing options, just press the L1 trigger. But most of the time, you've got everyone on comeback and defense. You won't have a passing option, in theory, as long as you don't wait. But I understand what he's saying. But you see, a lot of this, for example, these issues, if you are watching this, Dave, the best way to avoid it is understand how to close out a game or how to play in the final couple of minutes. Even the top tier players struggle against team press. Is frustrating. The best thing you could do is try to avoid it, but that isn't a momentum swing. That is because of the team press tactic. If your opponent doesn't use team press, he can't get the ball off you. It's simple as that. So if your opponent does everything correctly, he will get the ball off you. Something to bet out. But the game is playing broken goalkeeper distribution. Number of times I've held up and down to get the ball to a fullback. Instead, he rolls the ball to the wrong player. Yeah, so I agree. This is more the game being broken. That's why I say normally drop the ball, then make a pass. It's a bit more accurate. But sometimes when you try doing a long throw, it does go to the wrong player. So that is an issue in a game with passing. I completely agree with you there, Dave. I would just say if you want to avoid the situation where the opponents change direction or their team going to overdrive, it's because of team press, so do bear that in mind. I agree, bad programming, human factors come out play, yes. But I have defenders step away to make a hole. Defenders will never, even, when someone puts their controller down. Now this is going to sound crazy, but against, let's say, okay, when you play a game of FIFA, when your opponent puts a controller down and it's so hard to get past them, it's because they're never out of position. Now, probably going to sound really bad, but most players around goal 3 level, their defending is worse than putting your controller down. Now you might say how? It's because the game has AI defensive really OP, so if they just stand there and do nothing and block the angle towards goal, you can't get through. But as soon as a goal 3 player starts moving players out of position, that's what creates holes. The game will not push a player out of position unless they have aggressive interceptions on in their instructions, or you've got team press on, or you got constant pressure on every touch, or using teammate contain. Unless any of those are activated, the players will never move out. So that's the issue. So maybe you're thinking it's happening, but realistically it's not unless you have one of those things. Simmons kickoff glitch. Kickoff is a different argument, to be honest, Christopher. Kickoff does exist. It's more of the game being broken, coded incorrectly. That's why we say wait off for play. But yeah, and then I think that's the rest of them. You can literally feel the shift. Again, a lot of it is team press and everything. But yeah, I just think that's something I wanted to mention. People said different without lag. I agree, lag's a big issue. Kickoff is not the same as I mentioned. The fact that drastically play is a deeper issue, broski. I agree to some extent. But I think, it's common as well. Around 45 minutes, you have to adapt to the game. It's like, imagine the offside rule changes in real life. You're not going to start making a complaint about it. You're going to have to adapt. And it's a very, very small thing that you have to do. And someone was complaining about the ad revenue. By the way, when I upload these kind of videos, sometimes I don't even put the ads on them. The standard rate is 5 ads, which is skippable ads. But if you think you can do better, of course, we live in the capitalist economy. Feel free to make videos yourself and just make them all for free. I think someone was saying that, but not on a serious level. Look, I don't. Just joking. I don't. But yeah, I appreciate them for watching them all, Dustin. That was a bit of a joke, by the way, in case you know what's wondering. Yeah, I've kind of answered that one already. Yeah, this is the one I meant. Yeah, the 7 times ads. But anyway, I said, look, if you don't want to watch my videos, feel free to don't watch them. I don't care. If you want to make them yourself and do them ad free, your own take, then be my guest and spend your time doing it. But otherwise, don't watch my videos. Otherwise, or if you think you can do better, please do. And for example, this Yaz guy. I mean, I tried to explain to this guy multiple times. The man did analyze players off the ball. Obviously, it's a 14 minute video. I didn't want to make it 16 minutes or 20 minutes. AI players are the same. Around about 90 minutes, excuse me. Your player will never give away a pen unless you tackle your opponent. The game will never give away a pen ever. So that's something just to bear in mind. But it's not common. It's common knowledge that the players make mistakes around 90 minutes because of stamina. And he's like, he said something like, you're talking about you never experienced players being slow or not making good runs. Okay, first of all, players being slower, that's just common sense. That's just stamina. Okay, AI not making good runs. AI never make good runs. That's why I trigger them all manually, and I teach everyone to trigger them manually. So that way you can't ever have the keeper being a dog. The goalkeeper doesn't be a dog. No, it's not scripting, because if that existed, then that means pros will not be getting 30-0. Kickoff is a completely different argument, and as I said, the reason why I make these videos at the end of the day is, especially on my second channel, I'm not making these to rally up or rile up an argument among the community. I made them because if you sub to my second channel, you're probably interested in what I've got to say. And the key thing is, maybe you think it or not, I'm actually trying to indirectly educate people on what the game is being broken and what the game is being scripted. If you keep worrying about things you can't control, you're going to get nowhere in life. I'm trying to say work with what you can control. And a lot of these things, like the 45 and 90 minute goals, do they happen? Yes. I'm not disputing that they don't happen. They do happen. They're very, very common. Do they exist? No. But it's a simple way of avoiding it. The reason why I make these videos is that I try to educate, and at the end of the day, I'm trying to improve your FIFA ability, so that way my whole, even my Patreon, my whole idea of my Patreon is, look, once you learn with my Patreon, you can go with FIFA 26, FIFA 15, and you can play it and you know how to play FIFA, because what I teach is core mechanic FIFA. You don't rely on AI, you do everything yourself, and that way you improve your level of FIFA. That's what's key. I want you to create a good standard first, and then let's say you have a child and you don't play FIFA for like 4 years. Once you come back, you'll be able to come back to the place, or somewhat to the place that you were with. Maybe you have to adapt to the game of that time, but generally that's how it is. I think I've already mentioned this as well. The extra minute being played, but yeah, that's just something that I wanted to, I think there's all this other stuff as well, but yeah, but I mean, like, you could probably have to look at yourself. But anyway, look, I respond to these comments. I try to in the most polite way as possible, but I try to be fair, but I try to be firm. It's no point in me being all flowery, fairy type dandy saying, oh yeah, you know what, maybe you're right, because no one's going to learn. I think because the entire community is doing that, that's why you're in that that's why we're in this situation, because not everyone is being truthful. And I think some people like me, we come along, we say how it is, and maybe we get the dislikes, we get the unsubs, we lose the subs, we lose the viewership, but as a general mass, I think it helps out more. But that's just kind of my take on that. Thanks for watching, boys. Take it easy, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.